Hypnotic Well, hey, welcome. How are you? We're so glad you're here Friday night. Can you believe it? It is day 5 of the 5-day challenge. And you may discover quickly, if you don't know this already, that Brad has added a couple of bonus days. Cool stuff. Hey, my name's Robert Helms, host of the Real Estate Guys radio program. It's great to see you guys. I can see many of you. I can see you, Tammy and Ruth and Glenn, and look at all you. Wow, hi. And those of you on Facebook, how are you? Glad you're here. You know, it is Friday night, and not everybody shows up Friday night. I don't know why, but a lot of you are here, and that is absolutely awesome. It's been a great challenge so far. Comment, what did you think about Robert Kiyosaki the first night out, huh? Other than the, is it time for me to go speak yet? And yes, Robert, go. Awesome stuff, though. Loved hearing about the cash flow quadrant. Very, very cool stuff. And then we got to hear from, of course, Tom Wheelwright. That was kind of fun. Mike Becker. You know, Becker knows a lot about this business, from the lending side first and then investing in the deals. And there's a smart cookie. And oh, one of my best friends of the world, Kenny McElroy. What'd you think about Ken? Was that fun? You know, Ken's, I don't know if you know this, but Ken has a really nice car. And his license plate is C Student. Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Why A Students Work for C Students. So don't think you got to be brilliant to do this business. It doesn't hurt, but you'll be okay kind of no matter what. And it's been just an extraordinary time. How about that Brad Sumrock guy? He kind of knows what he's talking about, right? What do you think? Give us some comments there. What do you think? Oh, yeah. Hi, Jen. Look at that. Ken is a boss. You are so right. Anyway, it's been an incredible challenge. I feel like I got to see most of it, even though I was traveling for part of it, but I got to, you know, almost be backstage looking at you guys, waiting for tonight, Friday night, end of the week, and we've got a lot tonight. It's not just take your foot off the gas night. Absolutely not. Brad's got something to teach you tonight that is critical if you're going to be an apartment business owner for sure. I'm actually going to come back and share some things with you that I think are going to help you go bigger, faster. You know, real estate can be a very slow way to wealth. That's perfectly fine. But you know what a lot of people do in real estate is they buy a single family home. Nothing wrong with that. Some of you probably have single-family rentals. They figure out the market, they get their management in place, and then all of a sudden they have a tenant, and now $200 a month. $200 a month. I mean, that's how single-family homes work, right? Now, you probably have a number. Some number in mind that is going to fund your hopes and dreams. Some monthly amount that you'd like coming in passively from your real estate investing business. And if you take that number and you divide by $150 or $200 a month, that is a slow path to wealth. And by the way, nothing wrong with a slow path to wealth. But if you want to go bigger faster, that's what we're going to talk about today. Because there's no reason it has to take 30 or 40 years to build up a big portfolio. Already this week, you've been able to hear from some of Brad's students who have gone fast. And I know sometimes it's intimidating, like, wow, look at all that work there is to do. Well, I'll tell you what, my mentor said that the definition of easy is something you can do. So I think investing in apartments is easy because it's something you can do. Brad talks about the 3 ways you can invest in apartments, and all of them are easy. Something you can do. So the great thing about this challenge is hopefully to inspire you that you can go bigger faster, that you can be an apartment business owner, and that there's a lot to learn. But here to help us learn some more, let's welcome the man we call the Apartment King. It's Brad Sumrock. All right. Apartment King, how are you?
Great job.
Good to see you, man.
Good to have you here.
You have some good stuff to share tonight, I know. He's been holding some of the best stuff for tonight. Let's let him take it away.
All right, hey everybody, it's Friday night. Isn't there a song that goes, it's Friday night? Okay, I don't know the words. So, how about, let's give it up for Robert Helms. How was Robert? Robert's a great friend, and Robert is back. Robert was tuning in to the first part of the challenge from Belize, and he made it back to the United States, got that COVID test, was negative, made it back to the USA in time to be here tonight. So Robert is actually going to come back when I'm done, and he's got a whole nother segment of content, okay? So tonight, I'm going to try to keep it a little shorter because I know it's Friday, and some of you might have some plans. I don't, because my beautiful wife is right here on the Zoom meeting in Florida, so I have nothing else to do. So maybe I won't cut it short, and maybe we'll be here for a while. But I'm really excited to get started. And tonight we're going to talk about a really important topic. We're going to talk about raising money. So we talked about debt, and we talked about the 30% equity portion, and that example deal that we've done over and over and over and over again. The $10 million deal with $3 million down. And where do you get the $3 million down? Well, we had Haley with Quest IRA. And how many people, by the way, and blow up the Facebook page, how many people have a 401k or an IRA? And if you have one, did you know, or how many people now you do know, that you could use that IRA to invest passively in real estate? Okay, so if you remember from day 2, I said, how are you going to start? Do you have at least $50,000 to invest? And I said, well, are you sure? Because if you have money sitting in an IRA, for example, you work for a company, you max out in your 401k, you change companies, you roll it into an IRA, that money is now available for you to self-direct into assets other than equities, okay? Not if you're with E-Trade or Schwab, but if you move it into a company like Quest Trust Company, now you can move that money into other types of assets, okay? So we're going to talk about raising money today, and we're going to talk about a few other things, and then I'm going to bring up Robert Helms. So let me get that wine bottle opener that I need to use tonight, my clicker. So let's roll. And let's roll. This is not on. Okay, now it's on. See, I don't even know how to use the clicker yet, but I do know how to use a wine bottle opener. Jen is cracking up. Right, Jen? You're cracking up. Okay, so let's roll here. Recap of day 4. I love the recap. When I recap every day, I'm like, oh my God, we covered so much. So yesterday, and I like to do the recap for 2 things. One is I know there's people that are tuning in today that didn't tune in yesterday, right? And 2 is, even though we were here yesterday, it's good to do a Cliff Notes, okay? So we talked about the 19-year proven process, and this is basically my recipe for investing in apartments that I've been doing for 19 years. We talked about leveraging other people's, what is OPE, by the way? Leveraging other people's, what is OPE? Experience, that's right. What is OPT? Other people's time. And the one we're going to talk about tonight, OPM, what does M stand for? What does M stand for? Other people's money, that's right. I recapped my whole 2021 forecast. And I shared with you my top markets for 2021. And your homework, and by the way, we're going to give out prizes for that. Your homework was to share what are your top markets for you to invest in, whether you're going to invest as a passive investor or as a syndicator with your own money and your own deals. Where are your 3 top markets and why? And then we brought up Emily and Adam. They're rock star students. They used to work for General Electric. They started with single family, and they both quit their jobs, and now they're doing multifamily full time. And then we had some of my preferred providers. I call them partners. Old Capital Lending with James Eng, and he talked about debt. Okay, and I know he's getting a lot of questions from you on the Facebook group, so you could ask him some questions. And then we had Quest Trust Company that talked about using that self-directed IRA to invest passively. And I know Haley did a great job. And then we had my good friend Tom Wheelwright, and he is a good friend. How was Tom? Wasn't he a rock star last night? I loved his content, and I loved his... by the way, Jen, we need to get that whiteboard that Tom has. I loved his whiteboard that he was drawing on. I loved that. I absolutely loved it. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. So Tom shared a couple things, and he said there's 3 things you really need to be successful. Okay, do you all remember what the first one was? Who remembers the first thing that Tom said you need to be successful? Focus. That's right, Stacy. That's right, Johannes. That's right, Charles. Focus. Okay, and it's funny because looking back, I'm extremely focused on apartments. Like when people come to my March event, I'm not going to talk about 27 different ways to invest in real estate. I'm going to talk about buying apartments. I'm not even going to talk about building apartments. I'm going to talk, because that's a whole other business. I'm going to talk about buying A, B, and C class apartments. Okay, because that's what I've been doing for 19 years. Does anyone remember the second thing Tom said you need to be successful and build wealth? Yes, the tax component. Taxes, that's right, Bob Lawrence. Your taxes could be your biggest expense. And Tom gave some examples of if you pay 40% tax every year, how much it would be worth versus if you can eliminate that tax. And that's a huge thing for me. For 3 years in a row, we have paid no tax on mid-7-figure income. Okay, so I reinvest that money in what? Not the stock market, not gold and silver, not Bitcoin. Yes, apartment buildings, okay? And then does anyone remember the third thing that Tom said you need to be successful and have long-lasting wealth and build wealth? Is your team. Is your team. And I love what Robert Kiyosaki talked about. Tom Brady lost the game against Buffalo, but his team won the game. So, and by the way, the Super Bowl is this weekend. And I'm just curious, by the way, how many Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Bucks fans do we have here? Who's rooting for Tampa Bay? If you're rooting for Tampa Bay, put down the Bucks, blow up the Facebook page. One of my team members, Jay Ritter's from Kansas City, and he's back here going, boo, boo, boo. Now, if you're rooting for the Chiefs, blow up the page. So we have the 43-year-old best quarterback ever versus what? The 25-year-old potentially future best quarterback ever. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. So I'm really excited about that. So we have focus, no taxes, and team. So that's a recap of everything we've done with day 4. So now let's dive into day 5. I borrowed this idea right here from my mentor, Tony Robbins, okay? And Tony Robbins teaches us that there's 4 economic seasons. We have winter, spring, summer, and fall, okay? Now, the economic expansion that we had since the last recession generally started in 2011, and it went all the way up until March of 2020. Okay, it was 9 years, maybe 10, arguably 10 years, and it was the longest economic expansion we've had. Okay, and so that was a time of autumn. And I remember in 2018 when I was buying apartments and people were saying, oh my God, Brad, we're at the top of the market. What are you doing? There's going to be a crash. But I kept buying and I kept buying because I'm buying in these Sun Belt markets with all the things that we talked about yesterday, job growth, population growth, okay, landlord friendly. And there's a deal I bought in 2018 for $11.7 million that's now worth $19 million. So when I shared with you how my net worth has gone up, just that one deal, my net worth went up $7 million in 3 years from buying one deal, okay? But we were in autumn. And now, all of a sudden, we didn't see it coming, but the pandemic hit us, didn't it? We didn't see it coming. And what happened economically? Winter is here. And all of a sudden, without any warning, we're an economic winter. 20 million jobs were lost. We've regained 10 million. And again, I showed you the forecasts yesterday. By the end of 2022, we're going to be back to full employment, and rent growth is now potentially earning double digits on rent growth again in 2022. But here's what happens in winter. Okay, some people freeze to death. They're not prepared, or they cower and they go inside and they shiver and they wait until everything thaws out. But other people are not waiting. They're sitting by the fire. They're enjoying a cup of hot chocolate or tea, or they're snowboarding, or they're skiing, and they're enjoying winter because they know what's the next season after winter. What is it? It's spring, okay? There's springtime. In springtime, everything is blooming again. And so again, this is why I'm doubling down right now, because we had a cold, harsh winter from March of 2020. And that is slowly thawing, even with the pandemic, even with the election. How many people, by the way, that heard from Tom Wheelwright that, again, not to be political, but all of us here are wanting to be or are real estate investors, and some of us had some concerns about what Biden might do to our business, right? But when I heard Tom speak, don't you have a little bit less concern about it? And look, my comment there is pretty simple. I've been investing in real estate since 2002, and I survived Bill Clinton, I survived Barack Obama, and I'm going to survive Joe Biden. And I'm not only going to survive, but I'm going to thrive, okay? So whoever president is, it's not going to determine your destiny. You're going to determine your destiny. And so the reason I'm excited right now is there are some people freezing to death, and there are some people that are just freezing. They're literally frozen, and they're waiting. They're frozen in fear. They're frozen in analysis paralysis, and they're going to wait, and they're going to wait too long. They're going to miss the whole opportunity to be planting the seeds to let all the flowers start to bloom, okay? So that's what we need to be doing now. We need to be getting educated. We need to be getting prepared. We need to be building our investor list. We need to be building our teams, okay? If you wait until springtime or summertime to build your investor list and get educated and build your team, you're behind all the people that were planting those seeds, okay? So that's another reason why I believe in everything we talked about in the challenge with 2 more years of preferred tax advantages and all the demographics that we're seeing, that this is the time, okay? So I talked about this yesterday, and I talked about this during the challenge. A year from now, you will wish you had started today, and I freaking guarantee it. Okay, so if you're sitting here in February of 2022, Bob Lawrence, I'm talking to you, my friend, and say, man, Brad, I was in your challenge last year, and I waited another year. So, you know, when you look at pricing went up 6.7% in 1 year, last year. And if that continues to happen, which is going to happen, your assets, your $10 million asset will be worth $600,000 more. And that's if you do nothing. That's if you do nothing. That's not including your value add. That's not including you coming in and raising the rent and improving the asset. Okay? And that's how the rich get richer and the poor don't. Okay, and that's true. So I want to talk a little bit about the SEC. Now, some of you might be wondering, what does the SEC have to do with buying apartments? And the truth is, if you buy your own deal with your own money, it doesn't have anything to do with it. So just to recap, I go out and buy a $10 million deal with me and Jennifer, and I put $3 million down and get a $7 million loan. I don't need to pay attention to what I'm about to talk about. Now, if I'm raising money from other people, you need to pay attention, okay? Because if you imagine this, and before I even click through the content on the slides, imagine that just like if you're selling stock in a company, okay? if you're raising money, what we're actually doing is we're forming a company. Usually we're going to form an LLC in the United States, a limited liability corporation. I'm not your attorney. I can't tell you that's what you should do. I can tell you that's what I do. I form an LLC, and then as the GP, I'm going to have an ownership interest in that LLC. But as passive investors, you're going to have an ownership in that LLC. And the LLC is actually going to own the property, not Brad Sumrock, not Bob Lawrence, not Kathy Libby, not John Marston, okay? Your LLC, like I bought the Savoy and I formed an LLC. It's called BJS, my initials, BJS Savoy LLC. And another property is BJS Berkshire Square LLC. And all of the investors are owners. And what they are is they have interest, ownership interest in the LLC. And so when I'm raising money, basically what I'm saying is, would you like to have ownership interest in an LLC that's going to own a building? Does that make sense, everybody? Let me know you're following me. Okay, does that make sense? Are you following me, guys? I don't see anybody lighting up the Zoom meeting. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So that's what we're doing, okay? So we're forming an LLC, and what we usually say is I'd say like, hey, Nancy, would you like to invest with me? But what I'm really saying is, do you want to put money into an LLC in exchange for interest in that LLC, ownership interest, okay? So it's similar to stock in that sense. It's not stock, but it's similar to saying, hey, you want to buy ownership in a company, okay? So when we're raising money for an LLC, we're basically offering people an opportunity to buy a security, and so now it's regulated by the SEC. And a security, the definition, again, I'm not an attorney, but I work with securities attorneys. They're people on my team. It's when you invest money with a common enterprise, which is a group of people, we expect to make a profit, and the expectation of a profit is from the effort of the general partner or the deal sponsor. Okay, so if you're the deal sponsor and you're trying to get investors, you're needing to follow the SEC laws. Does that make sense? If you're raising money and you're the sponsor, now if there's 3 people and you're all equally involved in the management, then it's not a security. But if there's 100 investors or 50 investors and 2 general partners where the GPs are making all the decisions and there's an expectation of profit, now it's a security, okay? So what we typically do is we don't go through the time-consuming, expensive process of registering with the SEC unless you're going to do what Grant Cardone is doing. And that's not like next-level stuff. That's like hundreds of thousands of dollars stuff. Like what Grant Cardone is doing cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that registered security that he does, his funds. What most people do, like you and me, is we get an exemption from having to register our fund that we're doing to raise money for our deal. And so the 2 common ones are 506B and 506C, and that's all you really need to know. Okay, and there's other ones too, but I'm not really going to talk about crowdfunding and Regulation A and A+. So the main ways we raise money, the main ways you're going to raise money is by having an exemption from having to register your security, and your exemption is going to fall under Reg D 506B or Reg D 506C. Okay, and here's the differences. 506B is you could have 2 types of investors. You could have sophisticated or accredited. You could have an unlimited number of accredited, and you could only have 35 sophisticated, and I'm going to define that. And you need to give your investors a questionnaire, and they self-certify. If they're accredited or non-accredited, they self-certify, okay? You cannot advertise your offering. So let's say I find a deal and I need to raise money. I can't talk about my deal in the challenge to you because I'd be advertising. I can't talk about it on my Facebook groups. I can't talk about it in my social media posts. I can't put a TV ad. I can't put a newspaper ad, okay? I can only offer it to people that I already know. That's point number 3. So if I'm doing a 506B where I want to take accredited investors and non-accredited investors, then I cannot advertise that I'm raising the money, but I can only tell people that I know. Does that make sense? So Alan Stewart is somebody I know. So when I'm doing a deal, I could send Alan an email and I could say, hey, Alan, I'm doing this deal and here's the offering. Would you like to invest? Bonnie Staples is somebody I know. Nancy Kitty is somebody I know. Carrie Young is somebody I know. But some of you that are in this challenge that I never met before, I don't know you. And so I can't solicit capital from you, okay? It's against the law. And so the process to do a 506B is you need to get to know people first. And once you get to know them, then they could invest with you. Now, again, I'm not an attorney. I'm simplifying this. But does everybody get the gist of what I'm explaining? Just say, yes, Brad, we get it. If you're doing a 506B, you cannot advertise it. Now, and you have to know people. Now, every day of the week, I see people breaking the law on Facebook. They're soliciting their deals, they're bragging about their deals, and they're raising capital through a 506B, and they're allowing non-accredited investors into their deal, and they're breaking the law. Okay? But I don't want you guys breaking the law, and just because somebody else is speeding down the highway at 80 miles per hour, if you get pulled over and you say, well, officer, and I said officer on purpose, well, officer, right? Well, officer, everybody else was speeding. Why did you pull me over? Why did you pull me over? I see some of you laughing at my officer joke. Why did you pull me over? Well, I pulled you over because you were speeding and I caught you. I didn't catch everybody else. So the fact that other people do it wrong doesn't excuse you from it, okay? So that's for the Reg D 506B. Now, the 506C, and again, both of these you need to have a private placement memorandum and you need an attorney that specializes in securities law, okay? With a 506C, you can only offer your deal to accredited investors, but you can advertise. So if I see somebody publicly talking about their deal, publicly on Facebook, social media, at a meetup group, at a virtual meetup group, or an in-person group, I'm assuming they must be doing a 506C because they're advertising. And talking about a deal on stage or to a group of strangers is an advertisement, okay? Going to a meet and greet meetup group back when we used to do these in person and standing up in front of a group of strangers, these are not people that you know. Posting your deal in a Facebook group with thousands of people that are in your group that you've never talked to before, these are not people that you know, okay? Now, they are people that you can get to know, and that's the trick. You can get to know these people that are in your Facebook group. You can get to know these people that are at networking events. And that's why I go to networking events, so I get to know people first, and then when I have a deal, now I could ask them to invest with me. Now, again, that's if I'm doing a B. A B is in Brad. If I'm doing a C, I could advertise. So with a C, you don't need to know people first. You see, it says no pre-existing relationship and advertising permitted. Now, the twist with the C is that if I'm raising the money, I need to verify that you're accredited. So I can't just give you a questionnaire and have you self-certify. I'm going to need to run your application somehow through some kind of third-party verification site, get your financial statements, get actual bank statements from you showing your net worth, okay? And that's another important step. It's an important step. Somebody can't just tell you, yeah, I'm accredited, and then you say, okay, well, you told me you were. That is not a reasonable step, okay? So there's pros and cons to doing a C versus a B. The pro of a C is you can advertise. The con of the C is that you can only take accredited investors and you have to verify that they're accredited, okay? And there's third-party portals and stuff like that that will help you verify people's qualifications. So those are the main differences. So now I'm going to talk about raising money, and from what I just covered, based on SEC requirements, we're looking for two types of investors, okay? We're looking for accredited, and here's the definition of accredited. Accredited, and again, this is my definition, it's not the legal definition, these are my own words here, okay? These are my layman's terms. An accredited investor is somebody that has a net worth of over $1 million. It does not include the equity in your home, in your primary residence. The other qualification for accredited is that if you earn $200,000 a year if you're single, or $300,000 a year if you're married. So you could qualify to be accredited based on net worth or income. There are some other qualifications as well. The SEC just designated anybody that holds a Series 7, a Series 65, or a Series 82 license also to be accredited. And then there are some other definitions. If you Google accredited investor, you'll find 5 or 10 other qualifications, but these are the main two. It's basically your net worth, okay? So if you want to advertise, if you find a deal and you're raising money and you want to be able to advertise it like Grant Cardone does, you're going to need to just take accredited investors, okay? Now, if you want to do a 506B and you want to take people that don't have a net worth of $1 million or that don't earn $200,000 or $300,000 a year, now, let's see, let me go back to this slide here. My clicker is screwing up here. Let me just go over here for a second. Okay, I got a little trigger happy on my clicker, and I wanted to freeze the slide on number 2, which is sophisticated. A sophisticated investor, in the definition of the SEC, is an investor that has the knowledge and experience to evaluate the risks and the merits or the benefits of a particular investment. Okay, so almost all of the times that I've raised money for my deals, I do a 506B. A B, not a C. So I don't advertise my deals, except I advertise them only to the people that I know. And advertising it to people I know, it's not advertising. I send people I know an email. Now, I've been doing apartment investing for 19 years, and I know a lot of people. And a lot of the people I know are people, where do we think I meet them? I meet them at my seminars. And where do you think my students meet investors? They meet them at my seminars, okay? And so one of the best ways to meet people that are not only accredited, but also sophisticated, people that have the knowledge, the experience to evaluate apartment buildings, are to find people at real estate events, real estate seminars, the Sunrock events, and there's a lot of other events out there. So by coming to our event in March, not only are you learning the education that you need to make informed decisions, now you're starting to put yourself on a path of becoming SEC compliant so that you can be sophisticated. And remember, Robert Kiyosaki said ESBI, I stands for investor, but it also stands for inside investor. Remember he said that? And he said that insiders get the opportunities to invest in better things. And that's what he means by an accredited investor. But according to the SEC, if you're non-accredited but sophisticated, if you're sophisticated, then you too could be asked to invest in private offerings, okay? So you got to be on the inside track. You got to have the relationships with the people that are doing the deals, and you got to meet the qualifications of being accredited or sophisticated. Is everybody following me with that? That's all. when you come in March, I'm going to talk about it in more detail, and I'll have one of my attorney partners there, and they're going to talk about it in more detail and answer your questions. But I want to make sure you guys get the gist of why the SEC is involved and the two types of investors that we're looking for when we're raising money. And also, by the way, if you're a passive investor, you have to be one of these two. If you're passive, you either need to be accredited, and if you're accredited, you can invest with people you don't know through an advertisement. But if you're non-accredited, you need to have a relationship with the person offering you to invest. Okay, so does everybody get that? So that's great, and that's important. So now I'm going to talk about where the best place is to find investors. And the best places are going to be obviously at the Sumrock events, the virtual events that we do. And there's like 2,000 people in this Facebook challenge. That doesn't mean that they could invest with you, okay? It means that they are in the same Facebook group, but you're going to get to know these people. And the best people they get to know are the people that continue their education in March so that they become sophisticated, and so you could build relationships with them. And there's a whole slew of other real estate investor groups and events out there. So my recommendation, like Tom Wheelwright, and I said on day 1 or 2, you got to be obsessed, you got to be committed, you got to have focus, right? You got to have a burning desire to succeed. Like Robert Helms just said, doing this is easy, but it's not easy. It's not easy if you don't do any of the work. It's easy if you do the work and follow the steps, okay? So you surround yourself with other people investing in apartments. You could go to other trade shows, real estate investor trade shows, and for better or for worse now, a lot of them are virtual, okay? So you could attend these events virtually and then surround yourself with real estate investors, okay? And there's other places. You have friends and family, you have work, you have your church, your community, your neighbors. For me, honestly, I don't have many investors that are in this category. Okay, I like to fish. When I was young, my dad would take me fishing, and he would say, Brad, let's go to North Park because they're stocking the lake with fish. And what that means is, I didn't know what it meant when I was a kid, but they're putting fish in the water. So when you're raising money, you want to find out, well, where are the fish? Like, there's no point trying to raise money from a lake if there's no fish in it. And so I know people that have, investors from their community, from their church, from friends and family. But for me, the number one source is going to be by surrounding yourself with other real estate investors. Look, if you have to tell people, why real estate is good, why there's tax advantages, how it cash flows, and you got to convince somebody that they shouldn't be in the stock market, you're like a salmon swimming upstream. It's so much easier to just talk to somebody that said, yeah, like, I've been to that event too, I understand the benefits of apartments, and I want to invest. Right, Cornelius? Like, why would you go to a gold trading conference and try to convince people that are investing in Bitcoin that they should divert their money into apartments? Go to apartment events. Go to apartment investing events, okay, and come to mine. So that's my take on raising money. Now, you could build up your social media presence. You shouldn't be soliciting your deals on social media unless you're doing a 506c. And then you could advertise. But you could talk about the benefits of real estate. You could tell people you're doing real estate. But if you have a deal, you can't be offering your deal if you're doing a 506b. Okay? So you got to be careful with social media, but you could use social media to generate leads and then build relationships with those people. And then ultimately, at some point in the future, when you have relationships with those people, now they could invest with you. Does that make sense? So you want to if you're on social media, you want to make sure you have an effective strategy that's SEC compliant so that you're generating leads and building those relationships, and so you can invest with them later at some point in the future. Does that make sense, everybody? Y'all follow me on that? Okay, good deal. So also, you know, general business events. There's a lot of events for entrepreneurs, professionals, business people, and things like that. So these are going to be your places to go to raise money, okay? When I was in corporate America doing my first syndication, a lot of my coworkers saw me buy my first 2 deals with my own money. I even took some of my friends out to my properties. And they said, Brad, when you find another deal, I want to invest with you. So I found this 250 unit deal and I needed $1.9 million of investor equity. And I put it in front of my friends and my engineers back in the day when I was working for M.W. Kellogg in Houston, which is now owned by Halliburton. And not one of those engineers invested with me. They all said they would. But then when I showed them the numbers and I showed them the paperwork, and they read about, you know, they read the PPM, which is a legal document that talks about how you might lose all your money, which is the same thing that you have to sign when you invest in the stock market, right? When you open up an equities account, but everyone just signs it, right? See, we've been conditioned by the media that you should just put all your money in the stock market. Oh, but now you're looking at somebody's private offering and there's a paragraph that says you might lose your money. Brad, I'm not investing in this. So all those engineers that said they would invest with me in my next deal, they never did. And where did I get my investors? I got my investors from real estate organizations, okay? So that's an important distinction. So that's my overview on raising money. And your homework, and yes, there is homework, it's Friday night, but don't consider it homework, consider this life work. Here's your homework. I want you to write down as many people as you know that might have $50,000 or more to invest with you. Write them all down, okay? Is it your mom and dad, your brother and sister, your co-workers? Write down as many people as you know. And if you're one of my advanced students on here, Alan, you know, Carrie Young, I want you guys doing this too. Your list might be 200 or 300 people, but write down your list, okay? Because when you find a deal, you're going to need to go to these people. And Bob Lawrence, if you're writing it down and you say, oh shit, I don't have anybody. Now, you need what I'm offering even more. You do, because we have this whole ecosystem of people on the other side in March and on the other side of the challenge. And this is where you get equity, is you meet other people that want to invest in apartments. You know, Tony Robbins says you become like the people you spend time with. And so if you want to invest in apartments, you hang around with other people that are investing in apartments. Doesn't it make sense? I mean, doesn't it? You guys tell me, does it make sense or not? Tell me yes or yes. Let me know, yes, Brad, it makes absolute sense, okay? So you write down as many people as you know. And then number 2, if you want to be a passive investor, write down people that you know that you would want to invest with. And if you don't have any there, then if you want to be passive but you don't know any of the people doing the deals, well, how are you going to do deals? Okay? So this is just for you. You don't have to share this list, okay? This is your list. Now, if you want to send me your list, I'll take it. I'm kidding. It's your list, okay? It's your list. But by writing down people that you know to invest with you, you're starting to say, hey, like some of the gurus, they say, if you find a deal, the money will come. But if you write down your list and you don't have anybody, if you find a deal, the money ain't going to come. Okay, those gurus are just trying to sell you on their stuff. So I want to tell you the truth. It's like you need to have the skill set, you need to follow the path, you need to learn how to, you know, find the deals and analyze deals, and you need to have those skills, but you also need to be working on, if you're going to be raising money as a general partner, as a syndicator, you need to be working on your investor list. You heard Mike Becker say it best. Remember Mike Becker? He said, Brad, the things I want to do, and he's got 10,000 units. He goes, I want to find deals and find the money. Find the deals and find the money. Find the deals and find the money. I outsource property management. I hire third party, or I partner with people. I don't want to do the property management. That's my strategy too. I want to find the deals and find the money. I want to find the deals and find the money. You want to find the deals and find the, tell me what? Find the deals and find the, tell me. Yeah, tell me. Tell the Facebook group you find the deals and find the money. So that's your homework. So next is I want to bring up a topic here that a lot of you have been private messaging me, and you've told me that you really want to do this, but you're afraid. And you know, there's things to be afraid of, like failure, okay? But if you don't move forward because you're afraid to fail, then you're never going to succeed. So I want to show you something here. This is highly personal. And the biggest thing that I was afraid to do in my life was skydiving. So we go on a Tony Robbins event, and Tony always tries to get us out of our comfort zone, because Tony says, Brad, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And what this has to do with real estate is that if you could do something you're uncomfortable with and survive, that the next time around you're going to be more comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you're uncomfortable, you know, raising money, well, I was uncomfortable raising money the first time too. If you're uncomfortable making an offer on a deal, I was uncomfortable too. I said, holy shit, what if I make an offer and they accept my offer? Like, I want to do apartments and I want to be financially free, but what if they actually accept my offer? Does that mean I was the highest price, and now why are they selling it to me? And maybe I made a mistake. Why would somebody sell me their deal? So I had all these fears too, okay? But the thing is, you have that strong why. You have that financial freedom number. And you know what? The definition of courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of your frickin' fears. That's what courage is. And courage is, Tom Wheelwright had 3 things that you need to succeed, and I'm going to add a 4th one, and it's courage, because we all have fear. So let me show you this 2-minute video, and this was me. I found out at a Tony Robbins event that they were going to take us skydiving, and I was so afraid. And let me just share with you my experience. So I'm going to just click this, so check this out.
Get ready to skydive.
Well, we're going to go skydive with these fine gentlemen.
In the Grand Canyon,
Fine
of
indeed.
course, the best place ever to skydive.
Hold on, not the first time, right?
Not the first time for me.
Second time?
First time for us together.
First time together, that's
Second
awesome.
time.
And I just want everyone to know I'm nervous, but I'm doing it. When you
Awesome.
can't, you must. And when you must, you can.
Yeah,
And
Brad.
why live an ordinary life when you can live an extraordinary one?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it,
Let's
Joe.
have fun, okay? Have some fun, dude. Yeah, bud.
When I start to think, oh, how close it starts to end up on the brink. I tried so hard, but all these scars, they cut so deep, I bleed. I fell so fast from heaven, it's like someone clipped my wings. Now I'm falling, and I can't see the ground. Can we stop this gravity? It keeps bringing me down. I can't breathe, and I don't wanna die. Can we stop this gravity? 'Cause I don't wanna say goodbye. I forgive the pain you gave to me so long ago.
Freedom, baby! Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Yo, man! Oh my God, it's amazing! Highly recommend it. Yes. Let's turn right. Pull down. All right. More close to your
Welcome back to Earth, dude.
Oh man, it was awesome.
First jump, man.
First jump. Incredible. So good. Incredible.
Told you it was going to be awesome, dude. So, what was your favorite part?
Oh my God. The free fall.
Yeah.
And the spins.
Nothing like that, huh?
Spins and the free fall. Yeah, spins and the free fall.
So, Brad, real question is, man, you going to do this again?
I would definitely do it again.
That's what's up, man. You got to jump in Dallas and Florida.
Yes!
Brad, you're a rock star. Thanks for jumping today. Skydive Grand Canyon. We'll see you next time.
You must. If you must, you can.
Woo! Yeah, man.
Aha. All right. So what that has to do with apartment investing is I overcame my fears, and we all have fears. And now I want to do bungee jumping. And, you know, when my friend Charlie asked me to be a partner with him in a $123 million deal that he was doing, I was afraid. The biggest deal I had ever done in my life was $34 million. And I meet Charlie Young with Madera Residential. They own 15,000 units. He's a mentor to me. He wasn't able to be here on the challenge. But he said, hey, Brad, why don't you come in and work with us on the deal? And I was afraid. I was afraid that I would let him down. I was afraid I wouldn't do my job. I was afraid I wouldn't raise any money. I was afraid that, you know, all these things were going to happen. And we closed that thing January 12th, and me and Charlie and the team, we raised $43.5 million, and we closed a 620 unit, $123 million deal in Houston, Texas. And that was less than a month ago. And I'm so happy I did it, and now we're already looking at another deal as a $100 million deal, so it's crazy. And it's just like in this expansive mindset. It's like the first time you do it, you're scared. And then it's like, okay, now I got to do it again. So I'm going to do another $100 million deal, and I'm going to go bungee jumping. So what are you going to do to overcome your fears? Okay? And I want to help you. Okay? If it's apartment investing, I want to mentor you. And if it's raising money, I want to be there with you and help you do it. So now I'm going to bring up some really good friends of mine. And this is my good friend, Bonnie and Carrie, and they're here in the studio. And this was a picture that we just got from our mastermind. I got all the pictures. Come on up here.
Gorgeous
I got all the pictures from our mastermind.
Hey
I just got them
Nice.
today.
That's gorgeous. Yeah.
And Bonnie and Carrie are students of mine. And why don't you just share a little bit about it? We all have a journey, okay? Most of us started as E's, right? We're in the cash flow quadrant, ESBI, where you're looking at two former E's here, two former employees, and now they're on the BI side of the quadrant. So talk a little bit about that journey, your why, and just share a little bit about your experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having us, Brad. I love this picture. It's so gorgeous. So we're so pleased to be here tonight, and I'm so glad to see all these faces and new faces that I've never seen before, and I'm excited for you guys to be here and to be participating in the challenge. You know, meeting Brad and becoming part of his system has definitely changed our lives. Prior to knowing about Brad, we were out there in the east side, right, doing our work. I worked for Merrill Lynch for 33 years, so I was in wealth management, had to deal with all the SEC rules and regulations, so I was very familiar with that. And then Carrie worked for IBM, and during that time, Carrie had been with IBM for 18 years, and all of a sudden he got laid off after having exceptional reviews, you know, all of his career. He got laid off, and what that did.
It was interesting. My boss calls me and tells me he's going to let, you know, he needs to talk to me, and I knew that there was layoffs going. I was like, me? I just got the top rating like the last 4 years. That doesn't even happen, right? So when they called me and told me that, I had to call Bonnie and tell her, hey, you know, I'm getting laid off, and I'm kind of a jokester. So she was like, oh, are you joking with me? You got laid off?
I
And
didn't
I'm like, no,
believe him.
babe, I'm serious.
I didn't believe him. Yeah, yeah. But with all that, you know, that really ingrained our why on what we needed to do, or not what we didn't know what we needed to do, but we had a why, and our why was that we didn't want to be tied down to corporate America and be counting on them for our security, you know. So we then began our journey in single family and started that direction. position, and which was okay, but it was not getting us very far very quickly.
To Robert's point, it's a slow road to go doing the single family.
As we did one, it was like, okay, that's another $300 a month. Okay, now how many do I have to do $300 a month? So with all that, we learned about Brad's program, and because I was in wealth management and with the SEC requirements, I did my due diligence on Brad before we went to his event. So I was looking up rip-off report and checking him out, making sure he was, the real deal. And when we went to Brad's event, sincerely, we were there for half of the day, and we knew that we were in the right place. We knew that, and we were so grateful that he said we did not have to do single family and then graduate to multifamily. I was like, yes, because that was so hard.
And before that, we had been to other programs, other things, and it was night and day. This, we knew, was the program that was going to get us where we were going.
Yeah, absolutely. And so life-changing. We talked to many people there. Built those relationships, and then we knew that we wanted to be sponsors, and yet we started out just because it's easier to find a passive deal than your own deal, but we started investing passively with our friends that we had met in Brad's group, and learned a lot from being a passive investor, and eventually found our own deal, which was a 106 unit deal, and soon after that, then I actually retired from my job.
So your first deal, and I want them to know that because I've been getting questions. Brad, could I really do a 100-unit deal on my first deal? And so you did a few passive deals, but you were doing passive as you were looking for your own deal.
Exactly.
Right. And their very first deal that they put together as a GP was 106 doors.
Exactly.
And the piece of it is we were both working full-time jobs while we did that too. So.
Absolutely. And the other thing, like Brad talked about, 100% of the investors that we had on that deal were from the group, except for one, and that was my daddy. So the rest was all from the ecosystem.
And the other thing I want to add to that too is, we got all the training that we needed to do, and it was, it's fearful going out to raise $1 million. I've never raised $1 million, so it was, breaking through that and stepping out and just going in this ecosystem. All the tools we needed were right here for us to be successful.
Absolutely. And then just stepping away from my job, like I stepped away from my job. Kerry had gotten another job because he had a reputation that was amazing, and I stepped away from my job. And then within 2 years of me stepping away from my job, well, first I'm going to back up for a second. I stepped away from my job, and by me stepping away from my job and becoming a real estate professional, in line with what Tom Wilwright taught last night, is although I was making less money at that point, we were keeping more in our pocket because of the tax write-offs that we had. So it's not always about what you're making. So don't let that, keep you in your working job because of what you're making, but what are you actually keeping? And when you make those calculations, that can really make a big difference. And then within 2 years after I quit, then Kerry actually had.
I wanted to quit first, but she wouldn't let me.
No, I said, you need to stay there. You need to stay there, yeah. And ironically enough, IBM had brought him back. And so when it was time for Kerry to be able to quit his job, he actually was then able to leave IBM on his terms, and all because of the program. And believe me, I'm the scaredy cat of the group. Everybody knows that. And I'm so afraid that Brad's going to make me bungee jump or jump out of a plane or something. So, but really and truly, feeling that fear and doing it anyway. And Brad said something one time, and I was noticing he has the
ready, fire,
ready, fire, aim here, because I was a ready, aim, fire person, and when he says ready, fire, aim, that gave me it opened a whole new world to me. It's like, we need to get ready, and then go for it. Just go for it, and it definitely is. It's been an amazing journey. I'm happy to see all of you guys here, and I'm excited for y'all's next steps. You definitely need to, plug into what Brad has to offer you guys, and it's just amazing. It's changed our life. We're both retired. Our new wise also is we have a grandbaby, and now we can, spend a lot of time with her and get to travel with friends, and it's just it's awesome. And so
it's just whether you want to invest in this as a LP, or you want to be a general partner and sponsor your own deal,
This program gives you all that, because you don't. If you're out wanting to just invest with someone, you want to make sure you're educated. You want to make sure you understand the investment you're getting into, and you're not just putting your money out there because somebody has this deal that they're offering you. So you want to make sure you're educated, whether you're just a passive investor or if you're sponsoring the deal and needing a whole ecosystem to raise money from. So this program offers all of that to the T and more.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Let me go and skydiving.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh no.
Bungee jumping, right?
All right. All right, so let's hear it for Bonnie and Carrie. They did a great job. They've been around me for 6 years. They actually, they didn't get a chance to share, but they actually own how many buildings? 9? They own 9 apartment buildings now. Okay, and their first one was 106 units, and now they have 9 properties. Their cash flow is over $40,000 a month, financially independent. Net worth has gone up by a factor of 6 in 5 years. So they've totally crushed it. So I like bringing up students up here. Hopefully you guys like it. Do you like hearing from some of the students too in the challenge? Just I want to know if that's valuable to you. Because to hear me say it is one thing, but to have people come up that have actually done it, that were just like you, that were maybe skeptical or had no experience or not a whole lot of money, and now they're out here crushing it in multifamily, okay? So next up, we have my good friend, Robert Helms. And Robert, how about Robert Helms, by the way? This guy has a very popular radio show. It's called The Real Estate Guys Radio Show. He's a podcaster. He's a great interviewer. It's because of Robert and the connections I made with him that I met Robert Kiyosaki. And so again, proximity is power, and you want to just keep expanding your network. So through Robert, I met through Robert Helms, I met Robert Kiyosaki, Tom Wheelwright, Kenny McElroy, and now some of these people are on my team, and they speak at the Sumrock events. And we're all on the same mission, and we're all passionate about helping people become financially free. So here he is, my good friend, Robert Helms.
Hey, everybody. Good stuff. All right, excellent. What an amazing thing this has been, man. Like a challenge, which is what everybody wants, to not just sit around and watch other people do it, but to do it yourself. And we've learned some really tactical things. And of course, my favorite thing you do is what I would call evidence of success, proof of concept, when you get to meet students like Carrie and Bonnie that started where you may be today, just wondering, a little scared, and turn that into something that really happens. So great stuff. So hey, as we wrap up Friday, it's not the last day, although it is day 5 of the 5-day challenge. Couple of bonus days coming up. Tomorrow you have a chance to ask Brad anything. You've learned a lot, and maybe there's some ideas percolating in your brain. You'll be able to ask Brad questions tomorrow. And then Monday, don't miss that, Mr. 10X himself, Grant Cardone, and of course a big recap. We're going to give you a chance to invite your friends who might have missed a few days of the challenge to join on Monday, because it's going to be live, it's going to be awesome, and Brad's going to do kind of a condensed version of many of the things. And for you, that's going to be a review, but that's how we learn. So as we wrap up the week, and as I'm the last thing between you and happy hour, I just want to share this idea of going bigger faster. And so the slow path to wealth, nothing wrong with that. Maybe you were raised in a household where you learned that, you know, you live a little below your means and you save some and then you invest, and that's awesome. But I'll tell you what, why would you take 10 years or 20 years or 30 years if you could do it faster than that? So the Real Estate Guys, our whole motto is education for effective action. That's to get, educated. You got to know what you're doing, but not just so you can impress people at cocktail parties, or not so you feel like, well, I'm smart. You get educated so you do something with it. For those of you that listen to all these ideas, and you heard Tom, and you heard Becker, and you heard Kenny, and you heard Robert, and you just went, well, that's interesting. I learned some things. Unless you take action, it's not going to mean a whole lot. So that's our motto, education for effective action. But our favorite thing to do is to collapse time frames. If I can take something that took me 10 years and teach you how to do it in 2, well, more sooner is better. Brad has been investing in apartments for almost 20 years. And what he does in this short 3-day event coming up is give you the best he's got. He's going to take all the things that he's paid the hard price for, the School of Hard Knocks, figuring out how to do it wrong, to be able to do it right. All that collapsed into 3 days. Now, I'll tell you, I've been to Rat Race to Retirement more than once. It's an impressive event, and yes, there are some great ideas, some additional things, some deeper layers you're going to learn than maybe what you've learned this week, but you also get around other folks, whether that's right here on the screen and you get to interact that way, or if you want to come in person, that certainly would be a great way to meet a lot of folks. And the whole idea of going bigger, going faster is what Brad hit on, and that is the ability to raise capital. So again, 3 ways to invest in apartments. You can invest in your own account. You can qualify. You can find the market first, right? Start with a market. Then you're going to find a property. Then you're going to find, you know, the financing, and maybe you have wherewithal. Maybe you can qualify to own your own apartment building. I know Brad and Jen do that. I do that. Love that. But there's many people that just don't have the $2 or $3 or $4 million you might need to buy a great asset. So then you have 2 choices. You can either be a passive investor. A lot of reasons to do that. Sometimes you're busy, right? I mean, maybe you haven't even caught the entire challenge because you've got a job. And, you know, we tried to schedule it later in the evening, but with different time zones, you're like, well, I'm working hard. Okay, nothing wrong with that, especially if you love what you do. Do that. Earn money, live below your means, and put that money to work. As we watch the Super Bowl, we have 2 amazing quarterbacks coming up, right? But you know what I'm betting, even though I haven't seen the game? I'm betting that, you know, Patrick and Tom are not just going to keep the ball themselves. They're going to throw it or hand it to other players that are going to do the work to get the team down the field. This is exactly how it works in apartment investing and in real estate. You hand the ball to the people that can get the job done. So for you, maybe passive investing makes sense. I've already got a business that's thriving. I have a job I love. I'm not trying to get out of the rat race. I'm kind of digging it. Awesome. You can passively invest, and you get a chance to get exposure to different markets, bigger deals. All that's great. On the other hand, if you're the kind of person that has run out of your own money, maybe you're Fannie and Freddie'd out, you've already got some real estate, but you want to get to that next level, well, then this is the way to do it, by being a deal sponsor. It's a fancy word we keep throwing around called syndication. Syndication is simply aggregating the efforts of others. Right? So instead of you having to come up with all the money, all the team, all the qualification, we do that together in a team fashion. Some people are doing the work, some people are investing, and it makes a great opportunity for both types of folks. Now, you heard Bonnie and Carrie talk about the idea that you can start as a passive investor. While you're trying to figure this out and get educated, maybe you put some money to work as you're learning. You might not feel confident enough to put your own money to work on your deal because you're not educated yet. You haven't been around. You haven't done a lot of big apartment deals. Well, what's great about the ecosystem that the Sumrocks have put together is you can meet folks at kind of every stage of development. Over the years, it's been one of my favorite things is to meet students who start out wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then, you know, I see them a year later and they got their first deal. I see them 2 years later, they got 3 deals. I see them, you know, a year after that, and now they got 7 deals. Well, that's what happens. But investing can be lonely. And so getting yourself around a support system is one of the best ways to go faster. Because here's the reality. You're going to get stuck. Now, that's not a bad thing. We urge our students to get to the point where they're stuck, and then you have your sounding board, your team that can help you get unstuck. If you're never stuck, you're not pushing hard enough. And you maybe haven't faced the issues that come up in being an apartment business owner, but lots of folks around you have when you plug in. And so even though many of us are mavericks when it comes to investing, getting a tribe around you is just so, so powerful. I love it about hanging out at the Sumrock ecosystem or the Real Estate Guys tribe. It's folks that are going in the same direction, and it's this idea that, you know, Brad is not trying to create dependency. One level is, hey, well, unless you are here, you're not going to learn anything. And the other level is, well, independent. You know, I'm just going to read, I'm just going to study, and eventually I'll figure it out. The highest levels we call interdependence, where people work together to get bigger goals and bigger apartments and more money rolling in. So I'm super excited, super enthused for you guys. I want to leave you with just a couple of closing thoughts. If you've decided that apartment investing makes sense for you, maybe you've got some single families already or some small apartment buildings and you're thinking, wow, 100 units, 200 units, 300 units, is this for me? Well, you don't know until you try. You don't know if it's for you until you start out, right? It's ready, fire, aim. The idea that if you keep getting ready and you keep firing, eventually aim will come. Now, we started out today talking about it being something you can do. Investing in apartments is easy. Easy meaning something you can do. But you know what else is easy? It's easy to do nothing. It's easy not to do it. It's easy to go through this 5 days and then decide, well, this is it for me. Maybe I'll read some more books, maybe I'll listen to some podcasts, and maybe next year, or maybe the year after, or maybe someday I'll be an apartment investor. Someday I'll invest. Someday I'll have passive cash flow. Someday I'll jump out of an airplane. Well, when is that day coming? You know, there are people who have 20 years of experience doing something, and then there's other people that have 1 year of experience repeated 20 times. If you want tomorrow to look different than today, if you want to have more cash flow in your future than you have now, then you got to change something. An easy thing to change is the folks you're hanging around, the ideas you're putting into your head, the possibility that you can do it. I sure hope you're going to come out, whether it's live or virtually, to Rat Race to Retirement coming up. It's going to be an amazing time. 3 days. Now, it's been 2 days, a long time, but you know what? Brad keeps learning more stuff he wants to share with us. And of course, if you come to the event, whether you're going to do that from the privacy of your own home or office or actually fly in and be at the event, you're going to meet folks that have been where you have been, maybe started where you started, and they see the bigger picture, but they haven't figured it all out yet. That's the cool part, is you can do this together. And so 10 years from now, do you want to own more property than you do today? 10 years from now, do you want to have a higher net worth? 10 years from now, do you want to have a better, lower tax bill? 10 years from now, do you want more cash flow? Well, here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years from now is going to be 10 years from now, whether you do something about it or not. So I would just urge you to take action. Rarely do we regret the things that we do as much as we regret the things we don't do. People say, well, I should have invested last year. I should have learned more about apartments. I should have learned about tax deductions. I should have. And people just should all over themselves. Don't be that person. Instead, be the person that looks back in 10 years and says, man, I'm glad I did, instead of, wow, I wish I had. So thanks for being here for this challenge. It's been extraordinary. We're going to have some bonus sessions you're going to learn about. And also, Crystalia is here. She's been here all week long, and she's going to help give away some prizes. Some of you did your homework, so that's going to be awesome. And maybe you won the prizes, and hopefully you did homework tonight. So let's welcome back to the stage the Apartment King, Brad Sumrock. Hey, brother.
How you doing?
Good, man. Good stuff.
Isn't Robert awesome? He's awesome.
Hey, look at that. Look at all these folks listening and watching.
By the way,
that's great.
Did I ask you already, are you going to be emceeing the March event?
Well, you did ask me about that.
And did you give me an answer?
I haven't given you an answer. I guess it'll depend on how many people we get to sign up. If a lot of people come, then I'll be... No, I'm messing with you. This is an awesome event. I love coming. I love meeting the people. I'm not sure which of the days I'll be there, but I'm pretty sure I'll get to meet you if you're coming live or right here on the screens. This has been great with folks on Facebook, with folks on Zoom, just seeing everybody. It's been really awesome. All week long, man, you must be exhausted.
I'm not.
I know, you're full of energy. Me either.
We'll stay up here. I want to show a couple other things, and Crystalia is going to come up and do the prizes, and I know you made some announcements, but I just want to make sure it's up on the screen.
Here's the details.
So tomorrow, again, I'm doing this because Jen is in Florida, I'm in Dallas, and
you got nothing else to do.
I don't have anything to do, so I want to hang out with you guys. And so this is the only day it's going to be at a different time. Because if I did it Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I don't know how many people would show up.
Not only that, as many questions as there might be, it could go a while. So 3 in the afternoon Eastern time tomorrow.
3 in the afternoon, so that's 2 Central for those of us that are in Texas. and I'm just going to hop on. I'm not going to be in a studio. It's not going to be fancy. I'm going to be in my apartment in Dallas.
It's pretty fancy.
I'm going to open up the MacBook and just connect with you on Facebook Live, okay? And I'll do some Q&A with you guys. And then bonus day number 2 is going to be
drinking wine with Brad and Jen and Grant Cardone. That seems awesome.
So this was actually a picture when Grant came to Dallas for our first ever Apartment Investor National Conference. And then we took him out to Bob's Steakhouse in Dallas.
As you do.
And Grant had this 45-ounce tomahawk steak. I have the picture of that. And he asked me not to share it because he was like biting into the,
He didn't realize there were
steak.
utensils. He just went for it. But that's what, Uncle G's like.
So this was after, I think this was our second second glass, not the second bottle of wine. And it was a wine that I never heard of before until that night, but it was Opus One.
Oh, yum.
And I was buying the bill, I was paying for the bill, and I don't know, this was like a $600 bottle of wine, which at that time, that was the most expensive, that was the most I ever spent on a glass of wine or a bottle of wine.
Was it worth it?
It was worth it because we got to hang out with Grant Cardone for like 4 hours. And now we're buddies, and he came back to our National Apartment Conference last year. And by the way, full disclosure, I pay Grant Cardone for mentoring. Me and Jen go there. We pay him $100,000 for 5 sessions, and we get a lot of value out of it. And we don't talk. I don't ask him about apartment investing. We talk about mindset. We talk about expansion. We talk about his theories and building businesses and overcoming fears. And this guy has millions of people that love him and follow him, but he probably has twice as many millions of people that criticize him. Think about it. And the guy's resilient. He's successful. He's the real deal. He's actually got, his social media persona, but in person, he's the great guy. I love the guy, and he likes me and Jen. And so what I'm going to do on this bonus day 2 is for the first 30 minutes, I'm going to give us the Cliff Notes version of the entire challenge. Okay? So if you're
So that's number 1, great review. Number 2, if there's anybody in your world that should have been here this week, that could be a really good way for them to get the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, so that's a great point. If you enjoyed the challenge and you have some friends or some coworkers or some family members that missed the challenge, send them the link. Send them that original link. And just say, hey, Brad's going to do the Cliff Notes version, and Grant Cardone is going to come on, okay? So that's what we're going to do Monday, and we're going to come back to this studio, so we'll have the professional look and feel. So that's what's happening.
So for the weekend, we're going to be at Brad's apartment, and then back on Monday, back here with Grant Cardone.
Yeah, so now what's going to happen is Krista Lee is going to come up. She's going to give away the prizes from yesterday's homework, and then we're going to say goodbye to everybody on the live stream, and then Robert and I are going to come back and do some Q&A and hang out a little bit with all the people backstage, all right?
Well, let's get the prizes. Ladies and gentlemen, Krista Lee.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, thanks Robert, thanks Brad. How awesome has tonight been? Hello, everybody. Hi, Tom. Hi, Gino. Hello. Hey, Alan Stewart. Hey, Eduardo. Great to see you all. Great to see everybody. Oh, and there's Neander and Delia. Hello. Congratulations on baby Mia. Oh, so happy to see you guys and wishing you all the very, very best. Ever since Delia and Neander had their baby Wednesday, little baby Mia, I've been just a pile of love, which is why I'm wearing hearts tonight, because I was like, oh, we all could use a little bit of love. And, it's February Valentine's week. So I will get to it now. I want to announce the winners here. Let's see here. All right. So the winners for tonight are from the homework from the night before, which was identifying your top markets and why. So our winners tonight, dun, 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 Andy Eddy, come on down. You're the next contestant. Yay, Andy. All right. We also have Linda Helaman, Linda Helaman. Great job, Linda. And Marvin Gunn, Stacy Michaels, and Olympia Ammons. So, again, that's Andy Eddy, Linda Hillman, Marvin Gunn, Stacy Michaels, Olympia Ammons. Great job on carrying through and doing the homework that we have. And it's, homework sounds like, homework. But it's really for a reason. It's to help reinforce what you're learning. And you're here, you chose to be on this challenge because you're looking for something more. So the more you do this, the more you get it into your brain. The more you get it into your brain, the more that you will do it and take action. And Andy Eddy, I see you there. Congrats. And again, everyone, thank you. And those backstage here, stay on Facebook. I'm going to talk to you next door. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Let's hear it for Crystal.
Woo. All right, Robert, come on up.
Hi, everybody. I think I just broke something in the studio here. I'm not quite sure what happened, but hello. It's great to see you all. What an amazing week it's been. And I'm just so happy. I wore my heart shirt because I love all you guys so much. I'm so excited for you because, these challenges, I've seen these 5-day challenges or a 1-day challenge or a 3-day challenge. And in fact, I've enrolled in some challenges myself. I did the Tony Robbins New Year, New You challenge. I'm doing a challenge coming up with the lady who started Fit Makeup, Jamie Lynn Kern. She's doing like how to become unstoppable. And it's kind of, there's a lot of challenges going on, but really you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. So you made the decision to be on this challenge, this 5-day challenge, invest in apartments. So that means to me that you chose to be on this challenge to try to learn something else, to try to elevate your game, to try to progress and to get towards those goals that you're looking for. And remember, every day that we wake up above ground is a gift. And the gifts that have been given to you, you should not waste. So let's make some good things happen this year. Okay, let's do it together. We're all in this journey together. We're all in this journey. So I'm looking at some of the comments here. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Neander. Thank you, Alan Stewart. Marvin Gunn posted #winning. Absolutely. Let's see here. Some people are having a hard time hearing Brad. Tom McNeese, awesome. Thank you. Tom, you know what? I want to give a special shout out to Tom. Tom McNeese. She has been doing so much behind the scenes, you guys. Like, you have no idea how much she's been doing to support this and to help us. Hasn't been in the studio, but it feels like she has. She has been doing so much support at home. So I want to just give a big shout out to Tom. Tom, thank you for everything that you do. You're amazing. I hear Jay. Jay's in the background too, clapping for you. Tom, you are an absolute gift to us, and we appreciate you very much. All right, so let's remember a few things. Your assignment, if you choose to accept it, is to make a list of people that you know right now that would invest with you, friends, coworkers, people from church, people in peer groups, people that you know. Make a list of people that would invest with you. Remember the bonus sessions tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Ask Brad Anything. It's going to be on Facebook, this same Facebook group. And bonus day, extra bonus day, Monday with Grant Cardone, Mr. 10X himself. I'm super excited about that. We're going to be back in the studio for that. And we'll see you all tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, and then again Monday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all so much. It's been amazing. Congratulations on being here on Friday night, and have an awesome, awesome evening, and we'll see